Welcome to another edition of Dolphins In Depth, the podcast provided to you by the Miami Herald. I am your host, Miami Dolphins columnist Omar Kelly. Joining me is Isaiah Smalls. We are here to pontificate on the comings and goings of Miami Dolphins. We've done a show last week, but we did not talk about the recent release of Raheem Mostert, Kendall Fuller, and Durham Smythe. Obviously, Isaiah, two of those weren't that surprising. Kendall Fuller was a little bit surprising, but then again, when you factor in the fact that he suffered a knee injury in December and have no idea when he's going to be back, knee injuries, depending on what it is, depending on the severity, it takes some time. But the last time the Dolphins had a knee injury in December was Bradley Chubb and Cameron Good, and neither of those players came back until December. From December to December. So that's not ideal. The Dolphins cut him and created $2.2 million in cap space. Totally, all the moves they made saved them $7.9 million in cap space. And the cap is projected to go up a lot higher than most people projected. So the NFL made an additional $1.6 billion. You know what I'm saying? It's just an addition, just a little bit of money, just a little bit. Now they annually make about $18 billion a year. So the cap went up, and the Dolphins are probably, I think they're $2 million under the cap right now. It's not a great spot to be in, but it's not the desperate spot. More decisions are to be made, whether Teron Armstead gets shaken down or whether he says, go ahead and release me, or, maybe they don't touch his contract. I don't know. And then we've got the decision on Bradley Chubb. You cut him, you could save $20 million in cap space. I don't know how you feel about that, Isaiah.
I wouldn't do that. I mean, we've seen him. Granted, I understand like the concerns from health, but like when he's, you got to take the man at his word. If he's raring to go, and I think just the possibility of having like a full stable of Jalen Phillips, of Bradley Chubb, of Chop Robinson, to me is super appealing. And plus, like you can kind of, but with both guys kind of in Jalen and Bradley kind of working back from injury, I think you could there's an opportunity to not really use them as much, until we're down in the year.
I don't want two guys coming back from injury. Do you realize that's
the boat that they're in, though. Like, that's
okay. Let me put it to you this way, okay? Because this is your first year. You probably have a very junior high-ish level understanding of what the cap is and how it works. You know what $20 million in cap space can buy you?
I mean, that's a lot of. I get it. Like that's
about 4 NFL starters.
Yeah.
Is Bradley Chubb worth 4 NFL starters?
It depends who you're gonna get back. I mean, like honestly, it depends how this list that we about to talk about right now. It depends how they're gonna use it. If they're gonna use it and like mess around with it, then like just keep Bradley Chubb, right? But if they don't
answer the question, is Bradley Chubb worth 4 NFL starters?
Depends what positions we talking about.
Okay, if you're an elite player, if we're talking Myles Garrett, J.J. Watt, a Bosa, are you worth 4 NFL starters? 4 average NFL starters? 4 Kendall Fullers? Probably.
Yeah, probably not. Those guys.
Yes.
Those
guys probably.
Yeah, but Bradley Chubb.
If you're Bradley Chubb, and no disrespect to Bradley Chubb, because Bradley Chubb can come back from this injury and give you a double-digit sack season.
That's what I'm saying. I think there's a lot of unknown.
He was part of the unit that set a franchise record for sacks.
That's what I'm saying. There's so much unknown that I would rather go with the bird in hand than the bird. I don't remember the full saying, but like I'd rather
two in the bush.
Yeah, I'd rather go with the bird in hand.
Like a 2 in the bush kind of guy, though. Hold on, wait.
Hey, yeah.
Wait. I don't believe. I'm sorry. I might even have to bring Pierre into this situation because you kind of come off like a two in the bush kind of
That
guy.
sounds crazy. I'm gonna be honest. That sounds crazy right now. I feel like we should just move on.
Are you? Hold on, wait a minute. Are you? I need to know. I need to know. I am a bird. I'm a bird in the hand kind of guy. Yeah. I am a bird in the hand kind of guy. Yeah. I'm not going for the two in the bush.
Yeah, I'm not either. I feel like you. I mean, I'd rather have a known than an unknown known. If that makes sense.
So you would rather.
Again, it depends what I have to. So like, I looked at a few guys. I know like the Chiefs guard is available, right? If you can guarantee me that like give it like that $20 million, part of that will go towards getting that guy, then I might be sold.
He's going to get a Robert Hunt-esque deal, which Robert Hunt made. Robert Hunt got $100 million in contract. Let me tell you what Robert Hunt is making this year. Like Trey Smith is going to get. Robert Jones is making $16 million this year, $16.3 million. His year one cap was 4.2. His year two cap is going to be 21.6. So, and Trey Smith is going to be more expensive. They're going to jump over that Robert Hunt. See, this is where I think Dolphin fans, you know, I saw Pro Football Network put out a list of players that they think the Dolphins might go after. And I laughed at that list because I said to myself, with what money? With what, like every player on that list was a $12 to $20 million player. Like
Bobby, how much did Bobby Wagner make last year? Hold on.
Bobby, that's different. Bobby's not coming here. Bobby's not coming here. Bobby's.
I didn't think so either. I feel like he's.
I laugh for other various reasons. Here's the problem that I have with free agency, especially this time, and you'll learn this at the combine. Every agent, especially if they have a big name client, give you a perfect example. Derrick Henry. Derrick Henry last year at this time lobbied to be with the Miami Dolphins. Was on a podcast, Bussing with the Boys. That's where I want to play. And I'm like, let's do it.
Yeah.
This organization is not smart enough to do that. I wrote multiple columns. This organization is not smart enough to do that. So no, the smart organizations like Baltimore, they'll do that.
Yeah, of course.
Okay. But did Derrick Henry really want to be here? Or did Derrick Henry want the Dolphins in the conversation? Because every team knows if the Dolphins are bidding, they're bidding big. And that's going to raise the price. So understand, Trey Smith needs the Dolphins in the conversation. You don't need to know what they're offering. But the minute they're in the conversation, because Steve Ross come out and he make it rain. And agents know that. Teams know that. So if the Dolphins are in the conversation, if an agent can say, yeah, we've got interest from the Dolphins, the Steelers, and the Seahawks. You know what team stands out to whatever team they're having the conversation with? Oh, damn, the Dolphins. I'm gonna have to come correct.
Yeah.
And so sometimes I don't like this is known as lion season because everybody be lying. So I have a hard time like sitting there like now the Najee Harris conversation has come up. I didn't even know why Najee Harris is like blowing up on my timeline. Yeah. And I realized that an entity put out there Najee Harris in the Dolphins uniform. Najee Harris likes the Dolphins. I forget what exactly it said. And I was like, oh, this is what got Dolphins fans panties in a bunch.
Well, I don't know. I'm not the biggest Najee Harris fan, so they can have that if they want to. But I don't think he moves the needle at all.
yeah. The projection also, SportRack projected him at $9.2 million. I'm like, I'm not paying. I like Najee Harris. I like power backs. I'm not paying no $9.2 million for Najee Harris.
Easy.
Neither the Steelers. But the point is, you need the Dolphins in the conversation because,
Yeah.
okay, if the market is saying you might get 5, if the Dolphins in the conversation, that number might jump up to 6. And for the record, just so you know, Steve Ross loves that reputation. And you know why he loves it? He loves that reputation because it always gets him a seat at the table when it comes to negotiating with players and when it comes to trades. That's how you got Tyreek. All of a sudden, Tyreek's on the trade market. Well, Drew Rosenhaus, he want to do business with Miami. You know why? Because the price going up.
Of course.
Yeah.
Of course.
And they do things like Jalen Ramsey, where Jalen. Sorry, I shouldn't talk about Jalen Ramsey. There'll be consequences. They didn't have to redo Jalen's deal, but they did.
Yeah.
Because Jalen got the juice and he know how to squeeze them. Yeah. And teams know that the Dolphins are going to give it up. That's the unfortunate teams and agents know the Dolphins are going to give it up. But let's get into what we came on this podcast to talk about, which team needs. Yeah. And I gave you assignment, Isaiah.
Yeah.
Even though there's a laundry list of need, I don't think there's a position that doesn't need to be touched.
I agree. I wholeheartedly agree. Yeah, for sure.
Like, especially with the release of Mostert, Jeff Wilson being a free agent. Who's your number 3? Who's your number 4 wide receiver? Like, there isn't, tight end. Like, okay, are you really comfortable with Julian Hill?
Wait. Julian Hill.
Yeah, I said Julian Hill.
Oh, I did not think you said that. You said
Julian. No, I was gonna say Julian Thomas, but
yeah, you said Julian Thomas. That screwed me up.
I was gonna say it, but I said Julian Hill. Julian Thomas was a former bust of Dolphins history. Yeah, we know how to find us a bust. But
mock drafts with the and I know that you weren't. Before we get into this, I saw you weren't happy with the Tyler Warren to Miami pick. I wasn't. I mean, I don't understand.
I'm not unhappy with it.
Yeah, he's good. That boy's nice. Like he might got a little bit of Brock Bowers in him. Like they were using him in the backfield.
That's cute.
Yeah.
Okay. How many snaps is he gonna get?
That's what I'm saying. That's why I disagree with the pick. I want somebody 13th pick. I need a day one starter, like someone that can come in.
They start 2 tight ends, so he could still be a day one starter. In my thought process, and I understanding how this team works and operates, they will address every position in free agency, even if it's a lower tier player, just so that they can go into the draft and pick the best available player, especially early. Mm-hmm. Now, if they rank their board, and their board is always need-based, their board is talent and need-based. It's a marriage of talent and need. Trust me, I've spent nearly 2 decades learning and studying them. If they rank their board and Tyler Warren is there as a top 12 selection, and when they get on the board, when they get on the clock at 13, he's still there, and no other top 12 selections are there, okay, they'll take him. Mm-hmm. But that is contingent on him being a top 12 talent in this draft. So they would have to, and especially tight ends, which do not get drafted before the 20s. And then the one in Atlanta shows you why you don't draft tight ends before the 20s. Brock Bowers is an aberration. He's not the norm.
Yeah, of course.
So you can usually get tight ends in the second round. That's tight ends, safeties in the second round, unless they're elite. Now, will they take a 600 snap tight end with the 13th pick in the draft when they have a Pro Bowler there? I don't know. But it's definitely a need. Let's get into some of these needs. I gave you an assignment.
Yeah.
I said top 5 needs because we know there's a need everywhere. There's heading into free agent. There's a need everywhere. They gotta probably add about 15 free agents just to even get to the draft to be able to draft the best available players. That's right. Where would you assign as the number 1 need for the Miami Dolphins from a positional standpoint?
So for me, you look at the offense, right, and it's took a giant step back, right? And most people say, "Oh, it's the deep shots, blah 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 blah." But as you and I both know, the ability to run the ball to me opens up the pass game, right? So if Mike McDaniel is going to be the head coach of the Miami Dolphins in 2026, I feel like the biggest need that he needs to address is guard. Because because not only do you need two guards, I think that is how you really get the power running game going. These guys, they push, got the running back, he goes. You know what I'm saying? So to me, that is their biggest need. You improve at the guard position, the offense will look more. I don't think they're ever going to recapture that 2023 glory just because of just how record setting. I mean, it was a record setting year. Usually you don't go back to the record setting year.
Record setting year, and then they fizzled out at the end. What's supposed they don't fizzle out at the end?
I mean, injuries was a big reason why they fizzled out, right? So
sometimes that's just luck.
That's real. So for me, the biggest position of need is the guard.
And now Tua is 2 years more experience in this offense than he was in 2023.
That's real.
Like, I'm not saying it will happen.
Yeah.
I'm saying why, and this is the one thing I don't understand with Dolphin fans. And people got pissed when I said it because I basically said Dolphin fans are trash fans, and I stand by that. I will always stand by that. Especially the local ones. And I have my theories why they're trash fans, because most of these people are transplants. They're not real South Floridians. They're not real Miamians. So while they watch this team and maybe root for this team and listen to about them on sports radio, it ain't in your heart. You ain't no diehard. You a transplant. So you have no loyalty to the team.
Mm-hmm.
But most people, I think, are rooting for their failure. Everybody's failure. Because they want a new quarterback, a new GM, a new head coach. They just want new, not better, new. And I just think I think those people are trash. I don't hide the way I feel about it, because I've traveled for over a decade, and I know the transplant Dolphin fan, the people who go to the road games, the people who are the Cali Dolphin fans, the New York Dolphin fans, the people who go see the team in Tennessee. Oh, if they go to the Midwest, the people who will come from whatever state and region they're in to go see their Dolphins team.
Yeah.
And the people who subscribe to the Miami Herald online and pay attention to the blogs, because it's not easy for them to get their Dolphins information from wherever they're at. Those are the true Dolphin fans. And I don't think those fans are sitting here rooting for this team's failure, disaster.
Of course not.
But it's like, yeah, like you're I ain't want to put your business out there, but you're an Eagles fan. You
keep saying it.
I mean, it's true.
No, that's real.
You went to the parade. You took pictures from the parade. What were you doing at the parade? You outed yourself as an Eagles fan. Don't be mad at me. I thought you was an Eagles fan. Huh?
I wanted the free Bud Light they were throwing. That's why I went.
Oh, so you bought a flight to go to a parade for free Bud Light, huh?
Yeah, of course. You wouldn't do the same? Come on now.
Oh, okay. All right.
Don't hate on me because I got money to spend. It's like, nah.
So you could have just bought you a case of Coors Light, Bud Light.
I wanted it to be free.
But it was expensive because you paid a flight for it. Anyway, you try to justify your decision. Okay, sure. But imagine you rooting for the Eagles' failure just so you could start fresh.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of what I'm doing with the Sixers right now. I think, and so the only reason why I understand where you're coming from, and I don't necessarily like rooting for players is like destruction, because like that's a grown man at the end of the day. I wish nothing bad on the players. Right? I just think that sometimes like there needs to be. I can understand the want for change, right? If you've seen the status quo, if you especially if you don't believe in the status quo, you want something to change, right? And there is more than enough tape out there on these people for people to say, look, like, I don't want this. Now, I'm not saying those people are right. I'm not saying those people are wrong. I'm just saying that like there is more than enough tape out there for people to reach a decision either way, right? Now, I'm of the belief that like because the quarterback position is one of the hardest to kind of gauge in the NFL, right? I think you gotta go with what you got for right now. You gotta support what you got, and because God forbid you go out there and you draft, somebody in there a bust, right? And then now you got
Sanders.
You said what?
Shedeur Sanders.
That's crazy.
I think he'll be there at 13.
You think so?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Wow. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, but then again, like I'm all for like not for trying to draft the backup plan as what the Eagles did with Jalen Hurts, right? Oh crap. Funny enough, I'm getting a call from Brett. Yeah. Yeah. I'm a fan of taking, if you believe in somebody as the future of your organization, for sure. Take him, but I don't know. I think they got to go with what they got right now because obviously there's a lot of chemistry there between Tua and Tyreek. Obviously, they need to figure out the deep ball. Maybe drafting the guard position will give them a few more milliseconds to help them figure it out. So that's why that's my number one position. I don't know what. Are we going fourth, or are you giving me your one, or?
Nah. I'm actually producing it in the Miami Herald, and I really haven't thought it out yet. I've written it, but I'm gonna structure. I'm curious what your number 2 is.
My number 2 is safety, just because they need both safety positions. Like they don't have either.
They don't need both. They need 3 safeties.
And there you go.
Like yeah.
So
and they need 4 guards.
I was going by positions I'm mostly worried. If you have like the biggest needs, if there's a 0 at that position, then I need. You know what I'm saying? So that's number 2. I'm gonna switch up my 3 and 4 just because I'm here. Actually, no, I'm not. I'm gonna go number 3 is defensive line. They need defensive line. Somebody to pair.
Zach Sealer's the only player under contract.
Exactly. They need somebody to pair with Sealer, and then obviously backups, right?
Are you bringing Calais Campbell back?
Am I? Would I?
Yes.
Oh yes, it would a heartbeat. No brainer. That's not
At
even
what price.
Ooh, let me see how much he made last year.
He made $2 million in bonuses, so he made like 2.5. He's not taking that again.
Yeah, I would do a very heavily incentivized contract, something that like I can. He would. So you think he wants more?
Yeah, I was shocked Calais played for $2.5 million.
He deserves more. All right, so I'd give.
I was stunned that that's what he accepted to be part of here. And here's the thing about Calais, and I've known him for 2 decades. Calais is chasing a ring. Calais is chasing a title. Calais is trying to write that finishing chapter to a Hall of Fame career.
Yeah.
And he has had a Hall of Fame career. Mm-hmm. You win in the ring here in 2025?
No, you're not.
Why would I be considering that? Unless my kids are in school, I don't know this. Unless my kids in school, my family's comfortable. He's always had a home here. Maybe they've settled in. And a lot of it, Calais has played 17 years. So, yeah. And I think he's the type of guy that will have a career in the organization. That will have a career in the NFL when he's done, whether he's broadcasting, whether he's a coach, whether he's working in the front office. I think I've said this on this podcast. If I'm the Miami Dolphins and I am Steve Ross, I'm calling Calais to New York. And I'm sitting down with him and I'm talking to him. And not only am I talking to him and finding out everything that he thinks about my organization, the people in my organization, the people coaching my teams, the people running the teams, the players on the team. Not only am I sitting there having a conversation with him about that stuff, I'm also saying to him, I would like you to be part of my front office when you're done. And I want to continue to, like, I know I have done this for so long. I know the players who are going to be coaches and who really need to be in scouting. Calais is a future GM, and I want him as my future GM. Now, people can feel all uncomfortable. And if you said to me, replace Chris Greer with Calais Campbell, I say, all right, where do I sign? I'm not joking with you.
I know you're not. I never thought about it.
You've met him. You like, he might not know the cap. He might not know. He know what a football player looks like.
He knows talent for sure. He knows talent.
He damn sure knows what a football player looks like. He knows he's been around the organization. He's got more experience than there's people who coaching him.
Yeah,
that's like he's been part of great organizations. Why would I not like? But that's my. There aren't enough former players in NFL front offices, primarily because they won't let former players in NFL front offices, because these analytics and science and lawyers and accountants, they want to continue to control these NFL franchises, and these owners only feel comfortable talking to them because they talk their language and they look like them. That is in my opinion, the number one problem with the NFL. But that's a whole different topic for another day.
That's a great. Have you written that before? You need to write that. That's fire.
I've written that for decades, but I will take another stab at it. That's hard, especially with sports science and analytics has taken over 70% of NFL teams right now.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
The numbers crunchers, the scientists, the accountants, the nerds. They don't know what a football player looks like. They have no, and I've had this conversation with multiple players, just had it yesterday. Talked to Luther Campbell about it on his podcast.
Oh, shout out Uncle Luke.
These organizations, they have no idea what a player with the dog looks like. And they have no idea how to coach a player with the dog. And you know what this team is lacking? They're lacking players with the dog. But players with the dog gonna bite you. Yeah. They're gonna from time to time they're gonna bite you. Yeah. Now they're gonna protect your yard, but they're going to eventually bite you. Yeah. And this team is so terrified of being bitten. Tyreek bit him. Okay, it is what it is. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. But you can't live like that. If you want to be a dog person, sometimes you're gonna get bit.
Yeah.
This team do not want to be a dog person. They are totally a cat person, and that's why they'll never do anything. That's
real. Yeah, that's real. I mean, the more you think, the more. I mean, if you look at these championship teams, I mean, they're full of dogs. They really are. They're really full of dogs. I don't understand.
Philadelphia.
Philadelphia has crash outs. Like, I don't think there's enough crash outs on the Dolphins at all. I don't think
define a crash out.
A crash out is somebody like a C.J. Gardner-Johnson, a Jalen Carter, somebody that like will like actually fight somebody on the football field, knowing that like the penalties, all the just like somebody that's like a little like kind of a little bit crazy, like a little bit. And I don't like using the word crazy, but somebody that's like a little bit.
They're a little crazy.
Yeah. They're a little crazy, right? And I think in a violent game that is football, like you got to have at least a few guys that like, you know, if they hadn't found football, like the world might be in trouble.
You have to have a few Richie Incognitos on your team.
And it you know what I'm saying? It kind of, no one wants to, it's the elephant in the room that nobody wants to address, because like if you don't have that, like that's how the allegations, the S word comes about. The soft allegations come about, because it's like you don't, if you don't have, because it's either one or it's and I hate that it's like that, but in football it's kind of black and white. Like either you got it or you don't, right? And so if you have a few guys that are there trying to make it work, but the majority of the organization is not like that, then it's not really going to work. So no, 100%. They definitely in need of a few crash outs. All right, let me get through this, John. All right, so
number 1 is guard, number 2 is safety.
2 is safety, 3 is defensive line, 4 is corner.
Oh, I didn't even ask you what you doing with Javon Holland.
Let him walk out the door.
You just like this? Yeah. This is like this? You ain't even trying?
I mean, like, I'll try. I will give him an offer. I will give him an offer for sure. For sure.
I'll give him an offer. On it?
Huh?
What price point you putting on it?
I saw something. I think I saw something with like him wanting or something. Somebody wanting to give him like $17 million a year. I might tap out at like 10.
Hey.
Maybe.
Hey. I respect your honesty.
Like maybe 12. Maybe 12. I
respect you. Okay. I respect your honesty. I do. I value it.
Because like you didn't give me.
You giving them 12 based on last season, or you giving them 12 based on the whole career?
Based on I mean, you're only as good as your most recent performance. And granted, he was a little hurt last year. I will say that. I will say.
Oh, I broke my hand.
He was
I
a
had
little
my
hurt.
knee scoped.
He was a little hurt. He was a little hurt.
I missed 2 games.
Look,
break my hand and have my knee scoped, and I missed 2 games.
That's impressive. That's impressive. And I think Javon Holland is gonna be a better player wherever he goes. Right? He's talented. I'm not saying he's not talented. I just think that because of you look at the draft, right? I like Malachi Starks, right? So if he's available, I think there's a lot of people saying he got a little bit of Ed Reed in him. That he's a culture guy. That he's someone that you want to build your defense around. And if this is true, granted, I know what you said about the Dolphins wanting to fill all these positions in free agency before you get to the draft. But like, if it is,
yeah,
you said what?
They could sign safeties in free agency and draft some. They got nothing here. The 6th round pick last year is the only one that's here.
That's how I feel personally. I think, and I also think that he's a good player. Javon Holland's a good player, objectively. I just think that the price that he wants and the price that he deserves, I just don't think the Dolphins have the money to shell it out.
Even if they had the money, they wouldn't shell it out. Just my opinion.
Why?
But I think they realized that Javon is a hard to corral player. Javon is a very out the box thinker and a guy who questions everything. Football teams and football organizations, they just want you to do what they say and run through a wall.
And the thing is, I like his ability to the out the box thing, because there's been some times where things have happened. Like he was one thing, and I gave him credit for this. I walked up to him and I told him this was very early in my time in the locker room. What he said about the Tyreek situation, about how this is America, black men, get chastised by police all the time, very to the point, nail on the head, and then apparently stayed for 5 minutes as all the white reporters asked some more questions, as if they've never heard of this phenomenon, right?
Oh my God, you're abused by police all the time. But yeah,
so I appreciate him for that, because that's something a lot of people, not even the guy that it happened to, would say that, right? So you gotta give credit where credit's due, right? So I appreciate his out the box thinking.
I'm not saying that I dislike it.
Yeah, I know.
I'm telling you, football culture is run through that wall, and you go run through that wall. Yeah. Javon's why that wall?
Yeah.
And how fast you want me to run? But what's behind the wall?
Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying? And they'd be like, oh.
Yeah. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, it's but I think certain organizations don't concern themselves with that. Other organizations be a little bit So I saw projections that he was a top 5 free agent in this class. And
really?
No. I think that's a Pro Football Focus projection that he's a top 5 free agent in this class.
I saw Sports Illustrated had him top 20, I think.
And all of that is well and good, because when you're a free agent, all people calculate is how old are you? What's your upside? And because barely anything ever young and durable hits free agency. So when it does happen, you get overpaid like Christian Wilkins. No disrespect, Christian Wilkins, but you're making $24 million a year, bro. So, and I think Javon is with the right camp, with the right agency. They're going to find him his money.
Yeah.
And the Dolphins did not want to pay him his money. And so all these people who take it personal about how you played, I'm sorry. And I wrote a column about it last year. If I'm Javon, I'm just trying to finish the season healthy. Because my money, I got $30 million waiting for me at the end of this season.
No, that's real.
You ain't finna F up my $30 million. That's
real. That's real.
So what's your next position?
Number 4, because I said 3 was D-line. 4 is corner. You need to have somebody opposite, because there's nobody. You have Storm Duck there, right? You have Storm.
You got Cam Smith. You got Ethan Bonner. You got Storm Duck.
All right, Storm Duck.
You don't feel moved. Yeah, I sense your hesitation.
Storm. Are we talking about okay? and the reason why I put this here is because we have Jalen Ramsey on the other side, right?
Whoever's on the other side is going to get attacked.
Yeah, whoever's opposite of him they going right at it.
You getting it. You getting
I
that work.
want somebody that, like, Storm Duck had some flashes last year, but I don't want him to be my starting corner in year 2. He didn't show enough of that. Cam Smith was barely healthy, right? He was barely healthy. I didn't see much of him. And when he did play,
when he was healthy, he wasn't that good.
Bingo. Ethan Bonner, that is an unknown. The coaches apparently love him, but he's never touched the field.
His teammates love him too. I just don't know why he didn't play on Sunday.
Exactly. So, but we haven't seen him on Sunday, so, or Thursday, or even Monday for that matter. So, all right. So I think you need to have somebody that is like,
and Cater Kohu is also a restricted free agent.
Ooh, they got him.
Yeah, but here's the thing about Cater: if a restricted free agent, they're going to put the restricted tender on him. Let me see what the restricted tender is worth, and the restricted tender is worth $3.2 million. But if I'm another team, I'm putting a solid 3-year, $12 million deal on the table, and seeing if Miami match it. And if they don't match it, well, go find a new nickel. It's a great opportunity for me to get a cheap player without having to give up anything. Yeah. Now, the Dolphins can give him a second-round tender and pay him $5.2 million, but I don't think they'll do that. And they definitely not worth the first-round tender at $7.3 million. So if you give him the right of first refusal, how much is a valuable nickel worth? Probably about $7 million. I'm going under 7. I'm probably give him a 3-year, $15 million, $8 million in guaranteed money. And if the Dolphins don't match it, I done stole me a nickel quarterback.
Yeah, he's nice. I'm a fan of Cater.
Yeah. So, I want to see him get a multi-year deal because I hate when guys hit restricted free agency, and or maybe Miami can say, okay, instead of this tender, Cater, because they can do this. Instead of this tender, we're going to actually take care of you right now. They did that with Zach Sealer. They did that with Jesse Davis back in the day. But I look at it they did that before they got to restricted free agency. I personally believe that the Dolphins will give him the original round tender and then let the market dictate his price. But what's supposed you spend all your money? Well, you're going to get some in June 1st when you make your decision. So it's a risky business. It's a risky business to put Kate out. But I agree with you. I agree with you. It's whoever's opposite Jalen Ramsey, you finna get it.
Yeah. So I want somebody that's at least good. Like a Kendall Fuller to me was like an ideal. Like you've had some success before. Like you're somebody that can actually withstand some of the pressure that comes with playing opposite of a future Hall of Famer, right? Because like there's pressure there. And so I definitely want that. And so as for it, so 5 is where it gets tricky, right? I have back and forth. I told you originally I had a 5A, 5B because my original 5 that I put when you asked me the question, just make a list, boom. I just thought about the roster. I said, boom, boom, boom. This is what I said. My original 5 was linebacker because you need somebody that's going to wear
inside linebacker or edge.
Inside linebacker because you need someone that's going to wear the green dot. Like, you have Jordan Brooks. Jordan Brooks had a phenomenal season. However, Coach Weaver made it very clear that like he wasn't the green dot guy because and I guess from what I remember the explanation, he's just somebody that you just want to go. You don't want him necessarily directing everything.
You don't want him directing traffic. Plus, he's a weak side linebacker, which Terrell Dodson is as well. Mm-hmm. And so a lot of people are like, Dodson had a phenomenal season. They would play well together.
Look, he had more picks than the entire safety unit, man. Like,
yeah, and collectively, when you put together the Seattle stats, he had 100 tackles and 3 picks. That's a phenomenal season. You should get paid. I don't know if he's a good fit for this team because I would not put him and Jordan Brooks together.
Why is that?
So, they're 2 weak side linebackers. I need an instinctive inside linebacker who's going to sniff out the run, hunt it down, and snuff it out. I think that's more Anthony Walker Jr. than it is Terrell Dodson. The problem is I know Walker's body is like Terrell Terrell Armstead. I mean, what is his name?
Ron Armstead.
Teron Armstead. Yeah. How do I forget Teron? So I know I'm not going to get 17 out of Walker, but I still want him around. I might get 14. So, but I agree with you. I think inside, because other than that, Duke Riley's a free agent, and you got Channing Tindall, Like maybe it's year 4 for Channing Tindall.
Every year's a Channing Tindall year.
But what was your?
I wasn't like trying to be funny. That was a direct.
Nah, that sounded like a prediction to me.
That was a direct quote from him. I'll find it for you. He said last year they asked him about it. He said every year. They said, "Do you think this is gonna be your year?" He said every year is a Channing Tindall year.
Sure, bro. So what's your 5B?
All right, so my 5B was backup quarterback, right? Because I obviously it's a position of need. Like there's been more seasons now. Like you can definitively say like that Tua has been hurt now in more seasons like than he has finished the season healthy, right? And so because if we're just talking about probability, I'm not wishing anything on that man. Like I want him to be as healthy as possible. I want him to play all 17 games. But if we're just talking about probability, it's more probable that he's going to get hurt in the season than he is to finish it healthy, right? And with that being said, that means you need to invest in the backup quarterback position. The reason why I said this is
money or draft pick.
No, I'm just saying you have to do it. I'm just saying you have to do it. That's why I said it's 5B because it's like to me, I'm gonna be honest. Tua gets hurt again, the season's over, right?
Everybody's job is gone.
Like then people get fired, right? So that's the reason why I said it's 5B because like it's if you can somehow pull a miracle, right, and get Justin Fields here or like somebody that's like I don't know. Look. I'm just
that ain't happening. Yeah.
Just throwing out names at this point. If you get somebody,
James, you came up with the perfect name, Marcus Mariota. You came up with the perfect name. I'm not a big Mariota fan.
Oh, but neither am I. For the
I'm more of a Joshua Dobbs fan. He learned the offense with the 49ers. Yes, some terminology is going to change, but Dobbs is a baller, and he's much like Tua, probably with a little bit better of an arm and some little bit more mobility. But I know whatever I want, the team will not do. So I'm not even like I didn't say it's not the right thing to do. It's just the team will not do. I think we're going to end up with a Joe Flacco, and because I understand, let's say Tua misses 6 games, you need a quarterback who's going to win you three of those 6.
That's what I'm saying.
That's not a rookie, that's not a rookie. No. And also, if I'm gonna be a grand, I don't want these guys picking another quarterback because if they don't have their jobs next year, the next person that comes in, the next GM and the next head coach, they're going to say, I want to pick my own quarterback. And so then you got a John Beck situation. I don't think you know John Beck. 2007 second-round draft pick, was picked for Cam Cameron, came in, stunk it up as a rookie, stunk it up. Next camp, Parcells takes over. Parcells looks at Beck and is like, yeah, that ain't it. Goes out and gets free agents, drafts Chad Henne, and Beck is just there. Eventually he gets traded to Washington. But I don't want these guys to be wasting a draft pick on a quarterback unless he's a stud or you absolutely believe in him. There's talk that Tennessee might not select Cam Ward or might not be enamored with Cam Ward and might open up. They go to the combine. It will be the number one story of the combine. Tennessee's open for business. Trust me. And they're just going to use the combine to field offers, see what they can potentially get, see who gets a little bit desperate, and who needs a quarterback to save their job or change their franchise. I believe Ward is a franchise-changing quarterback, and I believe the real evaluators will see him as a franchise-changing quarterback. All this other talk out there is just talk. Shador now, I think Shador could fall to 13.
Yeah.
But I don't know if I'm it is what it is.
I don't think he gets past the Raiders, to be honest. I don't.
The Raiders might do to Aaron Rodgers. Trust me. The Raiders might do that. Aaron Rodgers is trying to steal Matt Stafford's job. And if he's not successful at stealing Matt Stafford's job, he's gonna do the Raiders. Matt Stafford, The word on the street is Matt Stafford's been angling to get to New York, and these things, there's truth to it, because if you deal with some players and coaches and GMs are represented by the same agencies.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So they're like, Matt Stafford, I think he's with Octagon. I don't know who to the GM, the GM of the Giants, who used to be here with the Dolphins. I don't know who represents him. I don't know who represents their head coach, who I'm a fan of. But if they're all with the same agency as Matt Stafford, yeah, Stafford knows what's going on. Rodgers trying to steal his job. Rodgers trying to steal Pittsburgh's job. Trying to get to Pittsburgh. So I think, and then if he doesn't do that, then I think he probably might go to Vegas. So Vegas is like the backup plan. So but we got time for all that. That's you're gonna have so much fun in Indy. Hopefully it's not too cold for you. Huh?
It's gonna be cold. That's regardless.
Get yourself a good jacket. It's worth it.
Get a nice little Tommy John.
Yeah. And the information is at night. The information comes out at night. That when they stop interviewing the prospects and go out for drinks,
mm-hmm.
and agents are meeting with teams, and then they have finished their meetings, and the information comes out at night. So it'll be fun, it'll be interesting, and we will be here, and we will continue to be talking about it next week. Combine not next week, right?
It is next week, yeah.
I
leave on Monday.
So we'll be doing some podcasts from the combine, so Isaiah can bring us his latest news. But we don't want to hear about no draft picks at the combine. We want to hear the juicy stuff about free agency, who's getting cut, who's getting shaken down, and where Najee Harris is going to go, because Dolphins, every team will want to talk to the Dolphins. That's just the reality of what it is. There'll be not every team, every agency will want to talk to the Dolphins, because they know the Dolphins bring that money.
That's real.
That's
real.
All right, folks, we will see you next week on Dolphins in Depth. Have a safe weekend. And for those participating in the Dolphins Challenge, Isaiah wrote a story in the Miami Herald. Stay safe, and we will see you next week.